supercalifragilistic morning, everyone.
A momentous podcast, we will begin.
Welcome back to another episode of P.B.P. Talk. Today, we're tackling the issue of zero hunger, exploring its prevalence and how it connects to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals (SDG2).
And we'll also dive deep into how this issue affects people across the world, including the Philippines and local communities. This is Pagkain Productions. I am Kay, your host.
And Tammy, you're another host.
Greetings, everyone, and to you too, my co-host.
Greetings to you too, partner. I have a question for you.
What is it, Pem?
Do you ever wonder what our production name means?
Yeah, I do wonder too. The Pagkain production name is quite unique and it seems to have a deep meaning.
You're right. In Filipino, pagkain bato translates to this food, which reflects our main topic or focus on food security and tackling hunger. This production is dedicated to shed light to the challenges and solutions surrounding hunger, both in Philippines and globally.
Food, it's something we all need, yet millions struggle to access it. From global crisis to local issues, hunger remains one of the biggest challenges of our time. But what exactly is being done to combat it? Well, we have some incredible guests lined up to help us understand the issues from different perspectives. So let us start interviewing our guests for our Chica for today's episode.
Today, we have an exciting episode ahead, and our special guests are ready to share their insights.
That is right, Pem. I've been looking forward to this discussion because today we're diving into a topic that affects millions worldwide.
You know, Kay, I was scrolling through Facebook the other day when I came across a powerful quote by Nelson Mandela saying, "Freedom is meaningless if people cannot put food in their stomach." That struck me. It made me realize how vulnerable those without access to food are.
That quote is really powerful. It's such a big impact. So, did you know that United Nations has set an ambitious goal to end hunger by 2030? So as students, we must understand this Sustainable Development Goal or SDG from a global, national, and local perspective.
Absolutely. I'm excited to dive deeper into this issue and uncover new insights in today's episode. So, for the global context, let's warmly welcome our special guest, Miss Ayeszha Balderas.
Welcome and greetings, Miss Ayesha. How are you feeling today, Yash?
Oh, hello, dear host. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. What about you all?
We're doing well. Honestly, we are excited about today's discussion. The relevance of zero hunger SDG2 is more crucial than ever, especially in an economy where even a dollar isn't enough to buy a decent meal.
That's so true, and it's truly heartbreaking. Many communities worldwide face serious barriers accessing to food, whether it's about poverty, conflict, or climate change. It is an issue that affects all of us, directly or indirectly.
Absolutely, and that brings me to a question. Oh, would you be open to answering one?
Yes, of course. I'd love to share
Okay.
my thoughts.
With the world producing enough food to feed everyone, why do millions still go to bed hungry every night? Like, is it a matter of distribution, affordability, or something quite deep?
The truth is, it is all about. Hunger isn't just about food supply, it is about who has access to food, who can afford it, and how the global systems work. And when you look at it, globally, there are three significant barriers. Let's start with poverty. Many people assume hunger happens because there's no food, but it happens because people can't afford it.
But why is food so expensive if we produce so much? Shouldn't prices be lower if there's an abundance?
You'd probably think that, but food prices isn't just about food supply. Global inflation, global markets, and trade policies control them. Many developing countries rely on imported food like the Philippines. So when the international prices rises because of inflation, supply chain issues, and war, millions of people are suddenly food insecure.
Even if food is available, it is priced out of reach for many?
Yes, exactly. In some low-income countries, families spend up to 70% of their income on food.
That's wild. And what about farmers? Some of the world's hungriest people are growing our food.
To be honest, that is one of the biggest injustices in the globe. Many small-scale farmers don't own the land they farm. They grow crops like coffee or cocoa for export, but they can't afford staple foods like wheat or rice themselves.
So you're telling me that they're feeding global economy yet they can't feed themselves? That's brutal.
Yeah, indeed, it is brutal. So, poverty limits access to food. But what about conflict? How does war create hunger?
So, conflict destroys food systems. War disrupts farming, supply chains, and entire economies. Let's take a look in Ukraine, Palestine, Yemen, Syria, and Sudan. These countries weren't food scarce regions. Food scarcity is happening to them because they are war torn.
But
Example with
oh,
this
sorry.
would be the Marawi War back then in 2017 or 2018, where people were struggling to cope up with their lives again. And I heard this one story about a woman suffering hunger because of the war in there, that she ate carton for only 4 days without any water and all. So it's really heartbreaking.
Not just heartbreaking, but also terrifying.
Now, one more significant factor climate change. It's something people don't always connect directly to hunger, but it's becoming a massive problem.
Yeah, extreme weather is destroying crops, displacing farmers, and disrupting food supply chains. But how bad is it?
It's worse than most people realize. Droughts, floods, and extreme heat wipes out harvest in Africa and Asia, not just in that continents, but also in the other continents. Farmers used to predict when to plant and harvest. Like, example, here in the Philippines, June is the planting season, and then they're gonna harvest in October, but now the seasons are truly unpredictable.
So, when crops fail, food prices skyrocket, and the poorest family who are already struggling are the first to suffer?
Exactly. And this is not a future problem. It's already happening now. Millions in the Horn of Africa run out of food because their land has become desert. Hunger isn't just a government issue. Every choice we make about food matters. So, what should we do? First is cut down on food waste. If food waste were a country, it would be the third largest greenhouse gas emitter after US and China. Reducing waste means more food stays in the system. Second is to support local and fair trade food resources. This can help farmers earn sustainable income instead of being exploited by big companies.
Wow, this changed how I see hunger. It's not just about empty stomach, it's about power, inequality, and access.
And it's not a faraway problem, whether it's war, poverty, or climate disasters. Hunger is a global issue getting really closer to all of us.
Exactly. But here's a hopeful part. Hunger is a solvable problem. We already grow food. So if we rethink how we distribute it, price it, and protect our food system, we can actually end hunger.
And that's the goal, right? A world where no one has to go to bed hungry.
A world where food isn't a privilege, it is a right.
Miss Balderas, thank you for this conversation.
Thank you so much. I hope this discussion inspires action for us, the youth, and also to the future generation.
So wow, that was an eye-opening discussion from our first guest, Pember.
Absolutely. I hope our viewers now better understand how zero hunger remains a pressing issue affecting millions worldwide.
Now let's dive deeper into this topic as we welcome another insightful guest.
Sounds interesting. What will she be discussing, Kay?
She will be shedding light on our country's biggest challenges, the leading causes of hunger in the Philippines. So, without further ado, let us welcome Miss Leigh Dacay.
Good morning, Miss Leigh. How are you today?
Good morning, host. I'm doing well, thank you. And how about the both of you?
Oh, it's a pleasure to say that we're doing great.
That's wonderful to hear. I can already sense that Pam had something on her mind. Go ahead and ask why.
Alright, here's my first question. What do you think is the leading cause of hunger in the Philippines?
That's a very relevant and crucial question. In my perspective, poverty is the primary cause of hunger in the Philippines. When families lack financial resources, they struggle to afford even the most necessities, including food. Unemployment and underemployment worsen the situation, leaving many households unable to prepare nutritious meals. As a result, malnutrition becomes widespread, especially among children.
So, poverty is indeed a root cause that keeps many Filipinos trapped in food insecurity. Speaking of which, do you believe poverty directly contributes to food insecurity? If so, why?
Poverty and food insecurity are deeply interconnected. Families living below the poverty line cannot afford sufficient and nutritious food daily. Many parents are forced to choose between buying food and paying for essentials like rent, electricity, or education. Farmers in rural areas suffer from food insecurity due to unstable incomes, climate change, and lack of government support. Without proper nutrition, people become weaker, which affects their productivity and prevents them from breaking the cycle of poverty. It's a cycle that needs urgent intervention.
That's such a critical point. It's heartbreaking to know those who grow our foods go hungry themselves. Now, for our final question, how can we as individuals contribute to reducing hunger in the Philippines?
That's an excellent question, and I genuinely believe that everyone has a role to play in fighting hunger. Here are some ways we can contribute. So, first, we need to support local farmers and raise awareness, spreading information about hunger through advocacy campaigns, social media, and community discussions, and minimize food waste. Many Filipinos throw away edible food daily, while others struggle to find their next meal. Practicing mindful consumption and reducing food waste can help address the imbalance.
So those are truly valuable insights and points. It's really interesting to know that even small individuals' actions can collectively create a big difference in fighting hunger.
Absolutely, advocacy and education play a key role in shaping a society where no one has to go to bed hungry. Let's all take responsibility for making zero hunger a reality. Thank you, Miss Leigh, for sharing your insights.
Moving on to our last guest member, we have someone who has gained quite a following on social media. Popular, ha?
Ooh,
She has
wow.
used her platform to engage with people in fun and meaningful ways, and today she is here to share her insights on zero hunger. Let us all welcome Tamara Altamera.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here and to be able to share my thoughts on this critical issue.
It's no problem, of course. But before we dive in, do you use social media a lot? Because I have a fascinating question for you.
Yes, I'm actually very active on social media, especially after my pastel video went viral.
You joined the Get to Build trend, right?
Yes, that was me.
Wow, what a pleasure to have you here. Speaking of pastil, which, by the way, is the well-known affordable food, it brings us to our topic today, zero hunger. What's your view on this SDG?
We can achieve it, I think, by 2030, but it will require a lot of effort and collaboration. In regions like Mindanao, we face very significant challenges such as poverty and environmental changes, making food security very hard to achieve. However, despite these obstacles, there are solutions, and if we work together, I really believe that we can all overcome them.
One of the biggest challenges is poverty. As you've said, Mindanao has the biggest and highest poverty rates in the Philippines, with BARM being the poorest region.
I remember Mindanao being compared to sub-Saharan Africa in terms of poverty. That comparison was insulting and hurtful, but it also highlights the serious issues that need urgent attention.
Yes, that's right. Despite this, the BARM really has been making efforts to address hunger through various programs which have been implemented to combat food insecurity, and this really shows that there is progress happening.
That's really encouraging to hear, DJ. Local efforts combined with national initiatives can make a difference in achieving zero hunger by 2030.
Yes, exactly. In BARM, several programs exist, such as the Emergency Food Relief Program, that provide immediate food and essential supplies to communities affected by natural disaster and conflicts. But these are primarily short-term solutions meant for only natural crises.
Wow, that's interesting. But aside from emergency relief, what long-term solutions are being implemented locally and nationally to reduce hunger?
I'm glad you asked that question. So, aside from food relief, the Philippine government and NGOs are actually working on sustainable programs such as agricultural development programs, school feeding programs, and livelihood projects. So, these efforts are not just local, they align with the national initiatives like the Philippine Development Plan, which aims to reduce hunger, improve food security, and boost economic opportunities for people experiencing poverty.
So, these local efforts are part of a more significant national movement toward ending hunger. That's great to hear.
Yes, absolutely, but we still face challenges, particularly with malnutrition and undernutrition. In Mindanao, many rural areas still suffer from high malnutrition rates, and families struggle to access affordable and nutritious food, which affects their health, education, and overall well-being.
That's so concerning. Can you imagine living with a growling stomach every day, struggling to focus in school or at work because of hunger?
Yes, exactly. Hunger isn't just about food, it's about opportunity, health, and breaking the cycle of poverty. And that's why awareness and action are very important.
What can we do to help fight hunger, both in local communities and on national scale?
There are actually many ways we can contribute. So, here are a few. We can support local farmers by buying local brands instead of imported goods. Then, we can raise awareness by using social media and creating advocacy campaigns or even educate people on food security. We can also minimize food waste, be mindful on how much food you consume and avoid wasting this food.
That's such an inspiring message, TJ.
Yes, and honestly, just having this conversation right now, or even making an advocacy video, is already a meaningful step towards raising awareness and inspiring change. Small actions like these can lead to real and positive changes in the future.
That is such a powerful and hopeful perspective, TJ. Thank you so much for that and for sharing your insights. We hope that your message inspires more people to act towards ending hunger.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, what an insightful discussion today, Keylah. From global challenges to the local context, it's clear that hunger is such a multifaceted issue. But at the same time, it's inspiring to see how solutions are being crafted, even in the most challenging circumstances, as we've heard from our guests. It's not just about raising awareness, it's about real action, supporting local farmers, advocating for sustainable solutions, and working together towards a future where hunger doesn't exist.
Exactly, Pam, right on point. And hearing stories from communities like Mindanao, despite the strugglings they face, shows us that change really is possible, whether it's
Yeah.
local, global, and we all have a role to play in making sure that zero hunger by 2030 becomes a reality, and about collective action, shared responsibilities, and pushing for policies that truly work for everyone.
Yes, a big thank you to Miss Ayesha Balderas, Miss Leigh Dacay, and Miss Tamara Altamera for sharing their insight for us today. Their perspectives really highlight that yes, this issue is massive, but it's not impossible to solve. Change can start with us in our own ways, big or small.
That is right again, Pam. And to everyone listening, let's take this conversation beyond the classroom, whether it's advocating for policy change, supporting local initiatives, or even just making informed choices in our daily lives. We can all contribute to this cause.
So we'll leave you with this. Let's stay passionate, stay aware, and keep pushing for a world where no one has to go to bed hungry. Zero hunger is not just a goal, it's a future we can build together.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Until next time, let's keep making change happen. One step at a time. Stay safe and stay hungry for change. Goodbye!
Bye!
Hunger starts as a tiny pebble, an inconvenience, a momentary pang. For some, it's a skipped meal, an empty plate easily refilled. But in Mindanao, hunger is more than a passing discomfort. For thousands of families, hunger is a growing pile of stones, heavy, unrelenting. 84% of the population faces food scarcity. Children go to bed with hollow stomachs. Their bodies are too weak to grow. Every missed meal is another stone on their shoulders. Hunger doesn't just leave them starving. It stunts growth, steals potential, and crushes dreams before they can even begin. This is the reality they carry every single day. Food scarcity is not just their burden, it is ours to bear too, because no child should struggle under a weight they didn't choose, and everyone should have enough, not waste just for granted. Change begins when we lift the weight together. Awareness, action, commitment. Be the hand that lifts the weight.